Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. We are finally back to playing proper football, you know. We played against Morecambe within the 2 weeks that we had pretty much off, let's just say off, because it kind of was. The Morecambe game, we managed to win 4-0, we rotated a little bit, even though it was a strong team. But apart from that, we've just been training and chilling and recovering and doing all of that. Whilst Fulham, on the other hand, the opponents, have been thrown into quite a situation because they had to play Tottenham last minute. They didn't expect that one. And now they've only had 2 days to prepare to play against us. And even prior to the Spurs game, they've had loads of issues in their camp in relation to players having tested positive, players having made recoveries, players not training enough, players training one day and then getting thrown into a game against Tottenham Hotspur and they actually done well. They've had all sorts of issues, whereas with us, we've had it a lot easier. Let's be honest, if we are talking about having to train and get loads of time in order to try and bond things together and blend things together, and you know, the excuses that we've had to come up with, I would say excuses because we are in the same boat as many other teams. But if you look at as to why it's not working at Chelsea and what's going wrong, the excuse that we've heard is the players haven't had much time to train together and really gel properly because it's been game after game after game after game, and I can hear that, but there is no excuse like that against Fulham, who have been in much harder circumstances than us. They haven't had any time to do anything. In fact, they've had to shut their training ground and they've had to do all sorts. We haven't, so we can't really use that. Tomorrow, we are in a game against an opponent that have had those issues, whereas with us, we've had 2 weeks, except for the Morecambe game where we've had players that have had a run out and they've done well, they got minutes, like a Ziyech for example, and apart from that, we've had time to train and to try new things. And Frank Lampard in the press conference admitted that himself and said, you know, for once we have finally found the time in order to try and train and work on things that we didn't have the time to work on before. So this is where we have zero excuse. And let me tell you the importance of tomorrow. I've said this. We have to win against Fulham. There is none of this, oh, we have to win. And then we draw and it's like, okay, it's not the end of the world. No. None of that. Forget that. We done that before. We done it against Arsenal. We done that against Aston Villa. We done that against Man City. You know, game after game, we'd go, we have to win. And then afterwards we would go, you know, it's not the end of the world. No, I'm sorry. This game against Fulham tomorrow, we have to win. There's no ifs, buts or maybes in this one. Why? Because if we don't, let's just put it out there. If we don't, okay, let's say we draw. And then afterwards, who are we playing? We got Leicester. We got Wolves. We got Tottenham. You know, harder games. So if you're setting yourself up to be put into a situation where you're having to play harder teams and force yourself to get a result against them because you couldn't get a result against Fulham, you're in a really tough situation. So we have to avoid that at all costs, because if we don't beat Fulham, the confidence is going to be so low. I don't really see how we get a result against Leicester, Wolves or Tottenham, you know, so we have to really play this carefully. Now, Fulham have done really, really well. The last 5 games, they've drawn all 5. And, you know, putting that into context, you probably hear that and think, well, that's not that good. For Fulham, it is. They started the season really badly and became very early contenders for relegation. Just straight up, they're getting relegated. Look at them now. You know, they're talking about survival and they're talking about possibly coming out of that relegation zone and even excelling, you know, far beyond the relegation zone. So they've been on a little bit of a hot streak. If you're talking about the opposition that they've been having to play, we saw them play against Spurs. They've done very well, very well, and Scott Parker has changed things around at Fulham. Scott Parker has done a tremendous job at Fulham so far, where he's managed to find that balance and he's managed to find a different system and he's tried something new. We've seen the 5-3-2/3-5-2 formation that Fulham have now adopted, and whether it's on offensive transition or defensive transition, they look solid. They look like a very hard team to get past, and they have front men like Lookman that can hurt you very badly. So it's a work in progress at Fulham, but it's definitely heading in the right direction, and they have a very solid setup. Whereas with us, it's looking a bit crazy at Chelsea Football Club at the moment, and we don't have any consistency, we don't have any stability, and we're looking to find that. And Fulham tomorrow is the first opportunity for that. And it asks the question, how is Frank Lampard going to set up? Are we going to have a different formation? Are we going to have a change in system? Are we going to have new players coming into the setup? Players that don't normally play that we're going to have to rely on? These are all questions that Frank Lampard definitely has, and he has to pick correctly. He has to choose wisely. I'm going to give you the 11 that I would go with, because I feel that's important. And along the way, I will tell you what I think Frank Lampard's going to do, because let's just say what I've decided to play will definitely differ from what Frank Lampard goes with. So let's get into it. So I'd go with a formation of a 4-2-3-1. Yes, I wouldn't go with a 4-3-3 for tomorrow, mainly because of being outnumbered in midfield. If you look at Fulham and the way that they play with a 3-5-2 or even a 5-3-2 with the two wing backs bombing forward, well, they end up with a midfield 5 and they have 3 central midfielders. Now, every time we play against 3 central midfielders, we fail. It's as simple as that. Arsenal stacked up the midfield against us. We capitulated. Aston Villa stacked up the midfield and went through the middle. We looked caught out many times. Manchester City, we got outnumbered in midfield and we let them. It's not even just being outnumbered. We just gave them a red carpet with a knife and fork. Here you go. Do what you want. We can't afford that. Fulham are going to have 3 central midfielders. If we even think of maybe the midfielders pushing up too far, being caught out on transition, and we have one defensive midfielder like we always do with N'Golo Kante being able to just do it all by himself, we will get caught out and we will put our back four under pressure. And I want to avoid that, which is why I'm going with a 4-2-3-1, 2 in a pivot. And considering that N'Golo Kante is out and we need defensive stability because we look as to who can play there, I don't see anyone that can play there by themselves. We need 2. And that's where I'm heading with it. And hopefully the man that I'm going to select as the man in front of the pivot will be able to help contribute to the attack and to the wingers and to the striker. So I'd go with a 4-2-3-1. Edouard Mendy in goal. Number 1 goalkeeper, of course. Reece James apparently might be back for this one. So if he's available and we do decide to go with him, great. Reece James is the man. Now, if he's not, we have to go with Azpilicueta. Cool. But it'll be very interesting to see Azpilicueta try and take on Lookman, for example. That's going to be a tough affair. Left back, Ben Chilwell, of course. Ben Chilwell at left back. The 2 centre-backs have to be the go-tos. Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma as our centre-back pairing. Now, the 2 in front, in the pivot, Billy Gilmour, I think, is going to be called upon here. And if it's not Billy Gilmour, it will definitely be Jorginho. Now, I think Frank Lampard will stick to a 4-3-3. And this is why I think that there's going to be one DM by himself, which is what scares me because I'm worried that we'll get caught out on transition in that system and in that formation. And I personally think there's a chance that Lampard might go with Jorginho for the game if N'Golo Kante is obviously absent because he's suspended. Now, personally, I would go with Billy Gilmour and Mateo Kovacic next to him to help provide some stability. Kovacic doesn't have to bomb forward as much. I wouldn't want him to do that. I would want him to be a little bit more defensive than offensive. And let the wingers and Kai Havertz in the number 10 do the rest in terms of attacking. Now, in terms of, getting the midfielders involved, I would honestly ask for Chelsea to play with a high line, to get the whole team to press, not just the front men to press, not just Mason Mount by himself pressing by himself. No. Get the whole team to move forward. Put Fulham on the back foot and don't tell your fullbacks to bomb so far forward. Let your wingers and Kai Havertz do all the mayhem up top and let the fullbacks contribute but not go too far forward, because if we get caught out, say if we've got a high line, we get caught out and there's 2 centre-backs on the halfway line with a Lookman running past, we're in trouble. He's going to have a one-on-one with Edouard Mendy, more than likely score. So that's where you got to be cautious. I would honestly tell the whole team to press high, and that way we can get a Gilmour and Kovacic involved in the attacking areas just a little bit. Let Kai Havertz express himself, as well as the wingers, and let them come in and let them combine. But I would tell Kovacic to sit alongside of Billy Gilmour, and hopefully Billy Gilmour in midfield can look for the long ball, can look for a cross diagonal, can look for a through ball, because he has the capabilities to do that. I think with Billy Gilmour, we will have an option to pass the ball a bit faster. So fingers crossed that works out well. Now, I've already said Kai Havertz in the number 10 role, just in front of the pivot. Hopefully, he has a very good game tomorrow. He needs to have a good game. And a very good point that Matisse has made over on his channel that I'm sure some of you have seen. He's been advocating for Kai Havertz to get into the box a little bit more because he's a tall lad, and we saw against Morecambe the way he scored a header. If it's him and a striker in the box, the chances are better that we are going to get something on the end of it. But if you're just relying on one striker to get it all done for you, and a lot of men in the team that we have, like our wingers that are quite small, some of our midfielders are small lads. Havertz is a tall lad, you know, get him into the box. You stick a better chance of getting it into the net that way. And that's why, more reason, I'm sticking him as a number 10. Because if we do have the ball out wide and we're crossing into the box, Kai Havertz doesn't have that far to travel in order to get into the box and become a threat himself. But if he's an 8 and he's having to contribute defensively as well, then this is where, you know, he might be offering too much defensively rather than offensively, and we don't end up with an option when trying to ping the ball into the box, which we will inevitably do because that is what we do and that is how we play. So that's where I think the 4-2-3-1 will help us in the long run. Our wingers, I would go with Hakim Ziyech on the right hand side. Callum Hudson-Odoi is deserving of a start. Let's be honest, he is deserving of a start, and if it doesn't look like he's up to it, we can bring Pulisic on. So Hudson-Odoi will be on the left hand side for me, and up front, Olivier Giroud. This is a game where we know we need goals, and if we are going to be pumping the ball into the box in short spaces, asking for a striker to do something quickly, Olivier Giroud is the man. And I feel like with a Kai Havertz aiding him, two tall lads to focus on in the box, and we know Giroud is someone that can get on the end of it, I think it just poses more of a threat. For this game alone, where we have to win, there's no, you know, looking to draw, looking to just walk past this game, we'll focus on the next one. No. This is a must win. If we don't win, Frank Lampard's job is in trouble. I'm just going to say that now. I think Roman Abramovich might take action if we don't win tomorrow. So this is where I feel the importance is crucial, and Giroud for me offers us urgency in order to get a goal quick. So for me, Giroud goes up top. If you ask me personally, I think Lampard is going to go over 4-3-3. I think he'll play Jorginho. I reckon he'll play Kai Havertz alongside Mason Mount as the 2 8s. And I reckon up top, he might go with Timo Werner. I do suspect he might stick with Timo, with Ziyech on the right, and possibly even starting Pulisic rather than Hudson-Odoi, just because he might think that is the safest thing to do. Again, I reckon Hudson-Odoi just needs to start this one. He's been playing brilliant. He's been one of the key men for the last few games, so I don't see why there's a reason to not allow that to continue. And again, if he looks like he's struggling, we can bring Pulisic on. If you're asking for a score prediction on this one, I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't like to beat around the bush. I told you guys I'd never want to come on here and say that we're going to lose a game, because you need to have some sort of positivity going into a game, but you got to be real. You got to be honest, and you got to be realistic. And that's why I'm going with a Fulham 1, Chelsea 1. That's my honest prediction. I find it hard to think that we are going to just walk past Fulham. I saw the way that they played against Spurs and the way that Scott Parker has them set up, and the confidence and the motivation that we see is being implemented into this Fulham team, which is what I think we're lacking at the moment. I just look at Fulham and the way that they're set up with the limitations they have in terms of ability, and we are the opposite. We have all the ability, and we have, you know, players of such a high standard, but we're lacking in chemistry, we're lacking in motivation, we're lacking in those areas that I see Fulham are currently starting to excel in. So we got the opposite balance here, and this is where I think we might just go with a 1-1 draw for this one, but that's not a good result. We have to win. We have to win. So I want Chelsea tomorrow to go onto the pitch and prove me wrong. Go and win. Get my prediction wrong. I would love to be wrong tomorrow. Please, I don't want us to draw. I want us to win. We have to win. It's as simple as that. If not, we are in trouble. For top 4, for Lampard's job, for all sorts, we are in trouble. If we don't win tomorrow, it's tatters. Let me know in the comments what you think. How would you shape up the team? What score prediction are you going for? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Hit that notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Be sure to catch me here tomorrow on the watch along. I will be doing a watch along for Fulham versus Chelsea, and immediately after that I will be uploading a separate video as my match review. So be sure to catch both of those. They're going to be very, very interesting, especially the watch along. I hope it goes well. I'm just going to pray. I hope it goes well. Just to put it into context, we are currently 9th in the Premier League. If we win, we can put ourselves up to 7th. If we don't win, there's a chance we might dip into 11th, 12th, somewhere there. Yeah, it's not looking good. We're currently 6 points from top 4. We bottle it one more time, we are in trouble. And we're talking about top 4. Just as a race, we are having to rely on other teams to lose 3 games and us to not lose any more. And that is very, very hard. Now going into the second half of the season, it's a big ask. And this is where I am just stressing, this is why I think the game tomorrow is so important. For us, for Lampard, for his job, for Rome, for everything. Tomorrow, we must win. So Chelsea, go out there and win. I'll see all of you tomorrow on the watch along. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. Look after yourselves. Take care and peace.